And welcome, Rooster Roosters, to Rooster Rooster Time. I'm the big guy, Scott Ferrara. That's the Grand Poobah, Mike Parazzini. We took off last week. We both had family things to do. So we took a week off. No big deal. But we're here. We're back after a nice win and a record-breaking day for the MLR,
Yep.
man. I think the craziest stat on last 2 weeks, OGs have scored a combined 92 points and still haven't won. That's kind of crazy.
I've seen there's been a couple memes about it, I've seen, about the OGs, but Rugby New York and the OGs this past weekend, they embodied my all-time favorite basketball player, Bill Murray. And he says in Space Jam, I don't play defense.
I did.
That was
Exactly.
a high scoring game. That was one hell of a game. It was, I was getting heart palpitations and, when, OG scored the first try and, it was back and forth in the second half. It seemed like the floodgates open and everyone, it was try times, almost every single minute it seemed like. So, yeah.
It's funny because everybody was saying, and it's funny. He goes up, so does scoring is exactly what I was going to bring up. It seems like when we have these hot matches, and that's exactly what OG had last week. That's exactly what Atlanta had last week against us. Scoring 30 points. The defense seems to get lax, especially in those last 20 minutes. It's very. I think that's just indicative of the heat and not being able to practice. Dougie Coyle, 5 wings, 5 tries of the 9. We're gonna get to that next, and Jason Flapjacks are next. Then meet our buddy Phil from the Free Jacks. Huzzah! This, that, and the other thing. Great, love the banter. So let's talk about the match. So off the gate, DC kind of broke out. I think it was Doug Frazier.
Yep.
Broke out a ball. I think Nate tapped it down, and for some reason, those bounces never seem to come our way all season. It always seems to just go boom. Anyway, so they go right in there, and then New York come back, and New York get a penalty try for a collapsed ball. Stan South goes out for the yellow card. And then from there, it kind of just kept going. I think one of the things on the Naholo try that people talk about, how great Naholo is and how fast he is. How about that pass from Connor McManus through the legs right to get it out to him? There's something about
basically,
that pass.
It was like a walk for Naholo at that point,
Yeah, well, and I think DC defenders were confused or caught flat-footed on that style of pass, which is something that we've seen McManus do, we've seen Andy Ellis do, we've seen Connor Buckley do, we've also seen the Butcher do. So this through the legs football style snapping pass has worked well for us, this season, and it gave Naholo his try. And then what happens? Ed Fidel starts to score. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Caleb Geiger scored the next one, I believe.
Yep.
Then Eddie starts to score. I think the first one was off a kick by Jason, I believe. And I believe Eddie did the lawnmower. If you guys saw the TRN meme 2 weeks ago, it was Eddie pushing the lawnmower because that's when he does his little thing and he looks like he's pushing the lawnmower, and then he actually did that try celebration afterwards, and the guys at TRN went nuts. They loved it. It was great. I love to see it. Between that, DC scores again. Again, DC scored a try that I don't understand why we get caught on quick taps so often. That happened last week, and Will Tucker decided to take it into his own hands by having 2 dirty hits to get him suspended 4 matches because they took a quick tap instead of just making the tackle there.
Yep.
Trying to think what else. So Ed Fidel, then I believe it's 26-21 New York at halftime. The next try. Yep.
So in the first half, you got a try from OGs in the 6th minute, pretty quick. Penalty try for us in the 11th minute. Naholo's try in the 16th minute. OG try in the 21st minute. Geyer's try in the 28th minute. Fido's try in the 33rd minute. OG try in the 38th minute. So it was, it seems like every 5
Back and
minutes, it was
forth.
just, back and forth, back and
And
forth.
at that point, I believe Sam was 1, 2, 2 for 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
because he missed the first. The first one was no kick because it's 7 points for a penalty try. Then he hit 3 out of the next 4, I believe.
Yeah, he makes in the half he makes 2 of 3.
2 or 3. Okay.
In the first half he makes 2 of 3.
Okay. And then we're going to second half, and Fossey does a chip kick that all of a sudden lands right into Sam Windsor's hands, and with support from Connor McManus after that amazing pass, scores. And I think it was in under a minute into the second half.
Yep.
Then I think Windsor again took the ball himself. I believe Ed Fidel was in support. And again, I mean, it was 2 great plays by Sam Windsor. One to get the chip kick and pass it off, and then another one to kind of just take the ball forward and give it to Eddie, in support and draw some defenders in. Anthony Kiri turned over the ball, or got a turnover. And then Naholo goes in, I think untouched, another one where he just had speed and there was no defender there to stop him. I'm trying to think. I think DC scores the next one. I want to say it's off a chip kick or a grubber. I forget exactly which one. So it's back and forth at this point now. It's actually, I'm sorry, it's not back and forth at this point. It's
us by a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 54-21 before OGs start to score. After Fidel gets a hat trick. Kiri gets a turnover, Naholo goes in, then Ed Fidel goes in again. Because Nihi does a grubber. 28 unanswered points. We're up 54-21. Then OGs do their chip kick and score. But then I believe this one was one of the, I think it was it was either Naholo or Eddie to Butch to Buckley to Andy. I think that was the break, the pace of play for that one. I'm trying to remember. I know Andy scored, but I think that was the pace of play. Then Chance goes in. He got his hand caught in the cookie jar for hands in the ruck. Poor Chancey Poo. Come on, bro. Like, they know we're fat. They know we like to stick our hands in there. You just got to watch it. And DC scores, I think, the next 3 tries.
Yep.
But it seemed to us at that point, that's when our tackling and our defense started really wane. And again, now you're in the last 20 minutes of a sweltering day. Hold on. First kick went off the post. Sam's mom was counting those points off the post. That's a great one. Love that. That's funny. Our buddy Jason was sitting next to Sam's mom during the match and talking to her, and it was he said it was fun to have her as a seatmate there. Anyway, so the last try is DC's, but that's there's nothing they could do. They run out of time with like 3 minutes left. I think Sam Windsor went 6 for 7, and Andy Ellis went 0 for 1 on conversions. So Sam not only was playing in the field, but he was really, kicking the light. He was lights out kicking, in my opinion.
Yeah. So in the second half, the breakdown was trying the 41st minute, McManus, 46th minute, Ed Fidel, 49th minute, Naholo, 52nd minute, Fidel, 55th minute, OGs, 56th minute, Andy Ellis, then, the yellow card, and Chance in the 61st minute. And then,
2 or 3 more by OGs.
68. Yeah, 62,
and
68,
70,
78. Yeah, 78.
That sounds about right. So what we need, so right now that puts us squarely in third place. It puts us level with ATL on points, but because ATL, bashed us and LA bashed us for essentially goose eggs, ATL has us on point differential. So what do we need? We obviously need a bonus point win against New England, and we need NOLA to do us a favor, something that they couldn't do last week against New England, to move us to get that home playoff spot. So there is a home playoff spot on the horizon. It's going to be hard to get it. We're going to play another hard nose match against New England up in New England. Unfortunately, the big guy can't be there. Oh yeah, Doug. It's funny. I busted Andrew Coe's balls about scoring in the 81st, almost scoring in the 81st minute. And I think Mikey had the best line of it. He goes, "That was karma for last year when Fode scored, right?
Yep.
With no time left to really put a dagger in OGs where we really didn't need it." So that was karma because Andrew was in like Flynn and all of a sudden just boop, popped it out. He played great off the bench. We had a lot of great players. I believe the only person not used for New York was our boy Charlie Hewitt, and everybody who came off the bench for DC. So we're going forward to a good New England team who put a wallop on New Orleans this past weekend. I think we just have to go with what's been working for us, which has been getting the ball out wide, breaking tackles, which is something it's hard to do against New England. I mean, New England's the number one tackling team in the league, and we know why. They do it very well. We just have to make sure we play our game and realize that if things aren't working, we have to make the adjustment quickly. Rizzo stripped the ball. Rizzo came in and I believe he scored a try too, and then I think he had a poach and then stripped the ball the last 5 or 6 minutes for OGs. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of pictures. Jason was down there, took a picture with our friend Susie, took a picture with our friend Sue and her husband. That me and Jason have known Sue and her husband for a long time from the Saracens on tour group we were in. It's been like 7 or 8 years I've known them, so it's always good to see them. And then when they get to come up to watch the OG to watch OGs up here, it's always great to see them. That's a camaraderie we like. Jason said he had a blast. He said all the fans were fun. So I'm glad he had a good time down there. But yeah, so we're moving on to the New England match, Mikey. What are your keys?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit it. It's got to definitely be our offense, and our offensive production has to be amazing, and particularly from the backs. I said this past week, with that back three that we had with Naholo and Fadao and Nene, that was amazing right there. And then on top of that, you had Fossey as well. Who was the third? Oh my God, hold on. Who's our other center?
Jason.
Yeah, Jason. Yeah, Jason Emery. And so So they all have to work in unison. And maybe that was, you could maybe say that, the Atlanta game was a fluke. These guys hadn't played together. They don't know each other that well.
I mean, honestly, I think the Atlanta game was, if you remember that week of practice was really in the 70s and 80s. It wasn't as hot. And then all of a sudden it was 95 to 100. And I don't think the guys were ready as much as the Atlanta guys play in that weather at this point. They're probably 2 or 3 weeks into that type of weather, practicing. So I wonder if it's just one of those things where all of a sudden we hit Seattle, which was another scorcher, ATL, which was a scorcher after that. And I don't know, it just the guys look sluggish. I don't know if there was something going around or
I don't know if it was if it was weather as much, or there's something going around. I think they were talking about, Matt McCarthy was talking about, there was a bug going through the team. It wasn't COVID. It was just like a 24-hour, some sort of bug that hit everybody.
As a matter of fact, I got that about 3 weeks ago. I thought that was interesting.
So it's you that you gave it definitely.
To I just threw up in their mouths, obviously.
Yes.
But I mean, it's been going around, at my work. It's been going around through my friends. So I think it's just a New York thing. It's happening.
Yeah.
This bug's going around, and if you're not at 100% when you first step on the field, it's gonna play a role. I gotta say, I think Antonio Kirikiri stepping in for an injured Carrot Pryor has been great. Jason, good job. Yep, I know I suck. But I think he's been a good substitute for Kara, who was injured a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
and just kind of stepping right in, playing that role. And I don't think Antonio's doing too much. Like I think Tony is really playing his game, picking and going when he sees an opportunity, but not like trying to make too many moves, trying to offload too quickly. He seems to be saying if he has a free man, he can offload it. But
Yeah.
a lot of times those eights are kind of in a pack unless they're out on the wing, in support. And he's been going down and continuing the phases. And honestly, those centers you talked about are the guys that have been pacing with him to cover the ball and really support him in the breakdown, which I find interesting. To really, again, I think they're starting to get the understanding of how they're playing with each other, and it's starting to gel at the right time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, like, Atlanta between the Heat first time playing with one another, chalk that up to that. That's what it is. I think the same thing that happened last year. OGs,
Yeah.
go down to Memorial Day weekend, go down to the OGs, and everything starts just kind of clicking together. Unfortunately, right at the end of the season, but good that's right at the end of the season because I'd rather everything click now going into this
Mhm.
playoff push than having us kind of struggle and still kind of if we eked out a win against OGs, yeah, it would have been a win, but it's they're it's good that everything clicked. They're
Mhm.
firing at all cylinders. They figured out where they needed to be. So going into this week and then the playoffs, we should be doing well.
Absolutely. And Ed Fidel and Wasaki Naholo make their appearance on the first 15. I believe Eddie Fidel is the leading try scorer for the league at this point. Um, it's again, we're starting to roll, and we're going to play a good New England um, team that's going to start to roll. And here we go. This is the next thing we're going to talk about. Maybe New England rests their guys. I don't necessarily think you want to give your guys 2 weeks rest, but definitely start them and sub them off maybe a little early, maybe halftime.
Yeah.
Because you don't. It seems as though when you're having 2 weeks rest, guys will get rusty for whatever reason. It just kind of throws off their rhythm. And that's everybody. That's not a knock on New England. It's just what me and you have seen definitely in the MLR when it's been there. Um, and yeah, I think Dougie's right. I think they substitute early. The question is, what kind of lineup do we see? Is it going to be a different lineup from the last 2 times we played New England? Because the last 2 times we played New England, I don't even think we had our best lineup due to injuries and things like that. Caleb Geiger started both those matches, which was surprising. But it seems as though the Butcher has been starting recently. So I wonder if Butcher, had some injury issues early on in the season that weren't disclosed, because he's obviously the starter at hooker. Wilton Robolo now back, giving Zach Tuolafu, KT some time off so that they're ready for this big New England match. Because let's be honest, if we can do what we need to do, and Nola can give us a break and knock off Atlanta, that gives us that home field advantage going into the week after. As
Yeah.
Doug mentioned, I think Doug mentioned it before, both matches are 7 p.m. on Friday, so that's going to be interesting. It's not normal uh, for Rudy to be playing on Friday, 2 days early. So not even Saturday. We played Sunday, and then we're going right into a Friday night match. So we're going to have accelerated practices. Um, but I think it's better off playing Friday night because it's mostly negate the heat. But I think you're going to have what you generally have in Austin, right? So what we see in Austin, especially at the beginning of the season when all these games are played in Austin, they have like a 5, 6, or 7 o'clock start, and the ball is a certain way, and then they come into halftime around 7 or 8 p.m. And all of a sudden, because the temperature went down so much, but the ball was still hot, it builds up this condensation, and you see handling errors on both sides of the ball like the
Mhm.
first 10 to 12 minutes of the second half. So I wonder if we're going to get that against New England.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know if the temperature will drop. If it's that dramatic. Um, who knows? I wonder what the weather is looking like though. Let's go to the weather channel right
Yeah.
now. Let's see what it's looking like in Boston. Um, because that's also going to who knows if it's
Mhm.
rainy. We saw what happened last year when we played a rainy match and how freaking horrible that was. So will we be able to adjust? Will we not be able to adjust? It's if it is also since it is later in the day, will with a little bit of a temperature drop, how will ball handling be?
Mhm.
I think there's just going to be a lot of factors that kind of change what we think. It's going to be a weird. It's just going to be a weird. between the the pitch and
Mhm.
everything. It's going to be a weird match, I think.
Yeah, we'll see what it comes down to. And like we said, it depends on
See.
what New England's strategy is going to be because they've already locked up the bye. Nobody can catch them at this point. And I wonder what New Orleans is going to do. I mean,
Yeah.
they really got pounded against New England. And honestly, one of the funniest things from that New Orleans game, if you guys got to watch it, was New Orleans scores a try right at the end, and they let Cam Dolan try and kick for the conversion on his 50th cap in the MLR. It was interesting. Oh, and shout out to Dylan Fawcett. I believe Dylan Fawcett hit his 50th for Rooney this match, not MLR, but just for Rooney, is what I was told.
So Friday night in Boston, 53 degrees. A few showers in the evening. 37% chance of rain. So
yeah, so I wonder if
it
it's
is a
really
little
going to be a
rainy.
factor.
Definitely not going to be. Yeah, definitely not going to be like the mess that it was last year that you went to. Where,
that was one of those
delay the
matches that
game.
was fun though. That was one of those matches where like no matter what happened, it was a fun match to go to say that you were there. You know what I mean? And there's some great pictures of me. There's some great pictures of Marty Veal standing next to me coaching from where I was standing. There's some great pictures of all the New England fans who went out there, whether they were huddled under tents or out there in the stands just getting soaking wet. It was just one of those matches you're never going to forget. But yeah, I don't think we're going to have the same type of weather, knock on wood, this Friday. So I think we're going to have a little bit better match handling wise. But yeah, let's get your prediction, Mikey. What's your prediction?
I am going to say New York by 3. I think New England rests some guys. I think that Marty sees the fact that going in with a win is better than going in with rested players. It's better to go in on a high note and say, hey, we've beaten these guys. They're not unbeatable. We could do this. And so I think or the full the bomb squad comes out, and I'm hoping we come out full strength and kind of beat up on New England a little bit. But I'm gonna go with Rugby New York by 3.
And Jason's going by 8. I'm going to go by 3 as well. I think I'm Sam Windsor / Jack Heighton / Jason Emery / Dylan
Andy
Fawcett,
Ellis, Dylan Fawcett,
Connor Buckley, Connor McManus. Somebody's going to kick one at the death to win.
Antonio Kirikiri.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm just going to keep saying it till it happens, and then that way I can claim a victory at some point. But I definitely think it's going to be a tight match. And like I said, I think when you get that transition right at halftime, around 8 o'clock, is when you're going to start to see it get sloppy on both sides. And then I think whoever is going to be less sloppy is going to stem the tide and hold on. But yeah, I'm excited for a great match. And then we'll roll into a playoff match, and hopefully Nola gives us some help, and we can pop on some points, and hopefully we'll see you guys the week after in Hoboken. But
Yeah.
I'm Scott, the big guy Farrar. That's Mike, the Grand Poobah Parazzini, and we'll catch you, I guess, at 6:30 on Friday if Mikey's out of work by then.
Yeah, I will definitely be out of work by then. I'll be heading over to Excelsior to watch the game. That's for damn sure.
Awesome. So we should be on our regularly scheduled time for the pre-match show. And other than that, guys, we'll see you on Friday.
See ya.